What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Saturday Morning Coding. Today we are working on some Ruby, some Jekyll, and some Make. And that's all around my blog. Let me show you that first. So this is my blog. It's a Jekyll site. I like to update it every day. And it's got some fancy customizations in it. I do a lot of writing, so one of my favorite add-ons I've piled into the site is a stats page. So each time a new version gets published, so does the thing tracking the total number of entries. We've got a consecutive daily posts tracker, so this is like kind of like my running streak. I've got some bad words in here. It counts the number of swears that I put in my entries. Also got some fun stats. I have a total running word count and an average word count for each entry. I shoot for 1,000 words a day, so that's a way I can keep track of that. What else I got going on? Small thing that makes me happy, I've got this footer here that points to the latest commit and the latest commit message. That's something that just makes me happy, being a Git nerd. And anyway, I've got a to-do list. Let's check out what we got. Here are some improvements I wanted to make in order of the easiest at the top. Well, now it's true. Easiest at the top. And then at the end we have some special projects. I've been on this journey with Jekyll. Let me show you the repo. So I used to employ the strategy of just piling everything into my own custom gem. You can see there's a whole crap ton of code. It's got the requires that Jekyll needs, like I had my own filters, and I've been really heavily using the generators. Generators they're pretty sweet. I was really excited when I discovered them because they just kind of give you this really nice hook to run a whole bunch of custom code at while Jekyll is slurping in your site, so to speak. And you could see, like, this is what I was doing for my stats. So I would run all this code and then inject it into the data object. And then when it actually comes time to write the HTML and render the page, I've got access to all that context in Jekyll. So here you can see I'm calling, site data stats. For example, I do consecutive posts. And then I even run it through my own filter. This is working great, but what I've noticed about generators is that they can make the build time kind of slow. I've been working on speeding this thing up because I write every day, so if you can save 2 seconds of how long it takes for something to build, that ultimately saves a lot of time in my year. So if I run make serve, it's still pretty fast. You could even see calculating statistics, that takes a little bit of time. Default front matter. This one really bothers me. That takes a lot of time. All this default front matter generator does is it just kind of it explicitly sets the permalink as well as the file name. And this is just a nuclear option because I couldn't figure out how to just do that with regular old Jekyll. So it hurts my heart to see that it takes so long to run because it just means I was too lazy to figure out how to configure it statically. I had to write all this code. It's probably an expensive operation, scanning every single page in the site, and you're interrogating some of the page data each time, so that's reading it and rendering it, and I bet we can cut that down. So I've been on this journey of I'm trying to just exfiltrate all this custom logic out of my own custom gem, and I'm moving it to more of a makefile workflow. So for example, I used to use the Jekyll RSS feed plugin to render just this feed XML. I ripped that gem out, and instead I just replaced it with this Ruby script because it's so simple. What I needed, I don't need it to even render the body of the entry. I just want it to update when there's a new journal entry. That's all it is. So my new RSS feed, it looks a lot simpler these days. There it is. And that's all I want. I just want the title, I want the date, and I write every day. If anyone's tracking it with RSS, bare minimum. Right? Another fun thing I got done, I should have saved this for the stream because it was a pretty fun challenge. The thing that generates the nav. I've got these special links up here for entry, stats, and contact. And the way that I do that is when I'm writing a new HTML page, I can specify in the front matter right here, like which nav position should it have. So I have another script in genNav that just runs from make. This will just scan all the pages. It'll look for pages that have the nav attribute specified, and then it orders them. So like if you have like nav 0, 1, 2, I think I'm even skipping one. I go like 1, 2, 3. Let's see. I got contact is 4, entries is 1, and stats is 3. Yeah, but that's okay. It just orders it. So it kind of just, whatever the lowest number is, it moves it all the way to the left of the menu. I really like that. And that used to be another thing that was a generator, and I think I've speeded it up since by moving it to a makefile. I'm also moving from generators into just this this data folder, which is a little faster because it just needs to like run once. So Jekyll is already set up. Anything written to this _data directory, Jekyll just reads it in like context. So if you're like working within your template and you've got this get.yaml in data, for example, you can just do site.data.get, and then you have entry to all this stuff, which is automatically generated. Also, I'm getting into make a lot. I really like make. I think it does a nice job, and it's just surprising how much you can get done. You know, it's almost like it was built for this kind of thing. So anyway, I've never had anybody join the chat, but I'm keeping an eye on it. I got this new Restream chat plugin. It should be reading in data from both Facebook and YouTube. Jump in if you have any questions, or if you're watching later, just leave a comment on the video, and I'm gonna get to work. All right, back to code. The first thing I want to do, I'm gonna set my timer so I remember to stand up. Adding a projects page. I didn't really have a good place to like just describe like all the stuff I'm working on. Like I got coding on Saturdays now. Within these daily entries, sometimes I like to do special videos. Like you can see I've got this anti-journal series where I'm like turning my private notes into public journal entries. I used to do like look back entries where I like looked, like sort of just nostalgia bombs or like looking back on job interviews, for an example. I usually write way more than 1,000 for those. The projects page would be a good place to like group those, like any kind of like series that I'm working on. Yeah, maybe some special entries, like when we got our dog. Video games. I worked on some Pico 8 games. That was a stream. It'd be pretty sweet to link to those so people like visiting the site can just try them out. Anyway, let's add a projects page. It should be super simple. So we're going to start in pages, and we can do the lazy thing and just copy a page to start off. Projects, HTML. Projects. Description's going to be stuff that I'm working on. Not project-ease, projects. So now we need to decide how that's going to end up in the menu. I like it between stats and contact, I think. So entries is 1, stats will make that 2, projects will make that 3, and we'll also delete all this stuff. We'll leave the columns and things like that. And then that's just another row. Okay, we'll just leave it as a single row for now. really happy with my CSS layout. I used to be a Twitter Bootstrap addict. Like, I couldn't write any HTML unless I had Bootstrap in the whole 9 yards. But CSS, it's not, I'm not even like a design person. It's not so bad when you're methodical about just testing things. Like, I have a layout that I'm totally happy with, and it's a pretty small CSS file. Like, this thing is not humongous. And I copy paste it like all over the place. I noticed that if I link to my blog CSS, my notes in org, when I export them, they look beautiful. And I'm super happy about that. Actually, can I show you? That'd be fun. So here's the benefits of like writing good portable CSS. Let's see. So this is my Emacs configuration, and if I export it to HTML and just open it up, this is going to open it up in Chrome. It looks like this. Emacs does some pretty things, like turn it like it renders the list block here. That looks cool, but you know, the CSS, it's a little bare bones. It's if I stumbled on this website on the internet and I wasn't a nerd, I wouldn't feel safe. So plain websites just have a way of like freaking people out, I guess. But org mode lets you link to a custom CSS file. Org mode CSS. And we'll do the search in Firefox so you don't see any work stuff. There we go. Like, you can add HTML head extra, and if we throw that in there, let me just link to the remote one. AlexRacker.com assets site CSS. So we try exporting that again with the custom CSS, and it didn't work. What happened? I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, there it is. How come that didn't work? Custom HTML CSS. I'm on a rabbit trail. I'm on a rabbit hole now, but I gotta figure this out. It's gonna drive me nuts. No. Just looking to add a CSS file. Embed my CSS file. No, you don't have to write Lisp for it. That's stupid. Let's try that. Export it. Didn't work. I'm really bothered by that. Oh, is it because I need... Maybe I have the wrong tag. Oh, do I need rel style sheet? I don't know how HTML works. Rel style sheet. There you go. Finally. as painful, but eventually prove my point. Yeah, this is what you get when you write good portable CSS. Like this is awesome. I like the idea of having like a standard style sheet that I can just attach to any like regular HTML, and like it looks like it could be part of my site. You know. Yeah, the code looks nice. I think this is my old config. I was in the middle of like porting my config to this new file, which is just new.org. Oh yeah. I even have the custom CSS set up there, so that was already working. So I guess this is my actual config that I'm working on. Yeah, which that looks much more full. All right, we got sidetracked. Let's go back. I don't even know what we were doing. I was bragging about my CS. Okay, we were writing a new page. So this is the projects page. Let's see what we got so far. Run serve. See, that's when I want to fix it. It takes so long to start up. It's just static HTML. I don't understand. I made a mess. Okay. So there's the projects page. Stuff that I'm working on. Okay. Okay, so I did H2. How about we'll do one for Saturday morning code. Tune in on Saturday. Tune in late Saturday mornings to watch me work on some code. I stream on YouTube and Facebook. And then I can embed the playlist. That'd be sort of fun. Okay. This is my YouTube. Open up this playlist. Oh yeah, I wanted to fix this playlist so it plays the new stuff first. I could do that later though. Let's go share. Embed. Perfect. Boom. I recently added that to my config, the thing that fixes up HTML as I save. I love it. That's been a lot of fun. All right, Saturday morning code. I think the embed stuff is still... There it goes. I might even just make this a single row. I don't see why it needs to get all smashed up. Yeah. All right, we got Saturday morning code. What else? I'll add a section for anti-journal. Every Sunday, to take a little break from writing, I publish some older selections from my private pre-blog journals, which I've named the anti-journal. This is a nice page. Later on in the to-do list, I would like to be able to link to these. That'd be fun. But for now, back to the to-do list. All right, projects page, that is done. And then how about we commit that? Add a projects page. You know what's fun? If I run make again, I think it should update the git cache data. Let's test that out. Make serve. There it goes. Had to update the nav too. So every time that pages directory changes, or the files and pages, it regenerates the nav. So if I go in data nav.yaml, there we go. Nice, simple. It's just a list. Super easy. All right, what's next on our to-do list? We got 10 minutes before the next coffee break. So we have rip out front matter generator, or move stats out of generators. I'm going to work on the stats first. That one's definitely more fun. So we have, just to recap what we have. Generators. Okay, so we have the stats generator, and it's in charge of reading in stats like total words, average words, posts, consecutive posts, and it also calculates my swears. It's not just in this file, it's also like hidden within I have all these other supporting libraries here. It's probably mostly just using math. So we might have to move some of this too to the script. I'm also sort of changing coding styles, like as I move things to scripts. Like I'm just trying to keep it nice and simple. You know, I don't really want to. I get too distracted if and I don't get any work done if I'm in charge of organizing a Ruby library. But these scripts, I actually, I get to write Ruby, but I still, it's just easier to finish before I start obsessing about organization. So let's make a gen stats. Oops. Lost my Emacs window. Okay, so this guy will be in charge of writing a YAML file to stats.yaml. But the nice thing is make just controls where that file goes. So all we have to do is just do like a puts. You can even add one of these for stats. So stats.yaml is the target. It depends on gen stats. And Also depends on wildcard posts. So anytime one of the post entries wants to or changes, we're also going to want to call that out and re-render stats.yaml. And then the script that runs is gen stats. So let's do an easy one. The first thing we need to port in the stats page is stats total posts. Okay, that's an easy one. All we have to do is just count the number of journal entries we have, and those should each just be a file in this post folder. There's a bunch of them, as you can see. So gen stats, keep it nice and simple. And then I put stats to YAML. Okay, I have to chmod it. I think that's what we want. Is that valid YAML? Interesting. How come it's not creating the stats? Oh, it's because I have to add it up here. I'm going to do this, I think. Data. So we got a bunch of these now. And so that depends on stats. Oops, depends on data. There we go. Gen stats. And as a bonus, I should be able to run make data now. Perfect. So our Git's been updated. All right. So let's write a script to count the number of journal entries. We'll figure out what to do with the pretty number thing later. This pretty filter, all that does is just add commas within. It just adds commas to the numbers. Just makes pretty numbers. So site data total posts. So why don't we first just remove this from the old code? Generators total posts. Post files, and it's going to be, I'm going to steal what I wrote for another script. We're just going to take that. Entry files. All right, we get the entry directory. We read it from, we just call entries, get all the markdown files. And total posts. should just be equal to entry files size. Total posts 657. Perfect. The other reason why it's good to move away from generators is because I didn't realize they run like every time the site changes. So that also takes a while to update my site, like in development mode. That went away. Total posts 657. Let's see what happened. So total posts should have been rendered. Oh, you know what? That's definitely an issue. I'm probably clobbering it here. Alright, why don't we just go the nuclear option and just skip this. So now it should skip it all together. Alright, there we go. Start from scratch. So now it's just getting here from data. Okay, so now we need to do consecutive daily posts. And that could get tricky. So consecutive posts. We will do that after the coffee break. Be right back, everybody. What's up, everybody? I'm back. All right, so we were just about to move consecutive posts. And so this does calculate streaks on all the dates. And then what does calculate streets? Where is that defined? Oh, that must be the math module. No, not quite. I put that in time. See, I really went crazy with the modularity, and it just makes it confusing. So all this does is select by slice by consecutive. Wow. Yeah, I think we might just rewrite this from scratch. This is just a little, like, blown up. Alright, so we will do just a file for sort. Let's see what that prints. Like that. Okay, cool. So that goes from oldest to newest, and that's the order that we want. So for consecutive posts, why don't we do this? How about we just turn entry files into dates? Entry dates. Because we're really only concerned with just the date that it was written. So if we, I think I'm going to jump into pry now. We need to work into some Ruby. So entry files first. Oh, it's because I'm not in the scripts directory. Pry. Entry files first. Great. Okay, so we want to turn this guy into a date, and I'm going to like map it over the whole list because I just want this function to read from entry files and turn it into a list of ascending dates. Pretty simple. So I'm going to go first file base name, and I want it to take out entry.md. That just gives us the slug. Perfect. So entry dates is already going to be entry files map file name file base name. That's the slug. And now we need to stumble around the date library and see if we can convert that into a date. Which is easy to do if you're not an idiot like me. Date. Is it stirp time? I think it might be stirp time. Let's see what that does. I'm going to save that as the slug. Date, stirp time. Can you do help in Ruby? No help found. Oh, that worked. 219.7.2. Can I just call stirp time? I think other times I've used this function, I've had to like help it out and like tell it the format. Like year, month, date. All right, we'll do that. All right, so entry dates. Passing that in. See, I just have so much more fun writing Ruby in these little scripts when I don't have to think about like how things are like the modules are cool. I've grown to appreciate them. I just overdid it, like while learning it. And this is so much simpler, right? Just functions that I like writing Ruby like Lisp, you know, where it's just like functions that you just sort of build up, you know, start with a simple form and just transform it as you go. It's very gratifying. So consecutive posts, this is where it gets a little mathy. We want to count the number of streaks. And it might end up just like lifting what I had going on. Because it was a little over-organized, what I had in my old code base, but at least it got the job done. And it took a while to figure out. So we have slice by consecutive. Yeah, like I don't even want to. That's going to take me forever to rewrite. I don't even know what that's doing. So dates slice when. Like I think instead of a slice by consecutive, all right, why don't we do this? So def consecutive dates. And that's entry dates, slice when. I'll just leave that as is. That does fine. Consecutive dates. Let's try running that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'm not really just retooling the logic. I'm just moving it to a script. That's fine. Consecutive. Okay, cool. So what consecutive dates does is it takes all the streaks and it will return a list of lists where like each sublist is a collection of dates in a streak. So we have the first time I journaled, I had a very short streak from the 2nd to the 3rd. And I skipped a day because we pick up next with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I skipped 13 and then 14, 15. And then you can see very soon if we just keep following this. Okay, interesting. I skipped more dates than I thought. I think in 825, yeah, that's when I start my super streak that I'm still carrying on today. 825, 2019. It's been daily since. So just to check that, the size of streaks is 6. That sounds reasonable. So I have like 5 small streaks and then 1 big mega streak at the end. Well, cool. And actually, I used to include all this other stuff like the start and the end date. I don't even need that anymore because I'm not showing that on my website. I'm just displaying like the current streak. So we're already done. So consecutive posts. So now consecutive posts, all that's going to be is consecutive dates. We're going to take the size of the last streak. So we can even do that in here. So we're going to go consecutive post equals consecutive dates. We want to take the last streak available and we want to return the size. And we want to add a comma so it's valid. Make data. Uninitialized constant date. Well, I forgot to require it. That's easy. Make data. Boom. Consecutive posts 608. I think that's what we were at. That sounds right to me. In the version that we haven't messed with, 607. 608. Interesting. What am I doing differently? Why am I off by 1? And is that a problem? That's weird. I don't know why this version is off by 1. This is all I'm doing. I'm past the point where I could just count it. So slice when, okay. So I think P, this is coming back to me. So this is a Ruby built-in that it iterates over a list 2 at a time, and then you can control like when you slice it, as in like when you make a new list. So P is previous, C is current. So I am slicing when current is not equal to P minus 1. And then I have a second condition, and current is not equal to P plus 1. Oh, so let's see what that means. Oh, this is so it works no matter how it's sorted. So if I'm like passing in a descending list where previous is like a later date and current is a older date, this will slice when current is not equal to previous date plus 1. Or P minus, okay, so it just helps it be bidirectional. That makes sense. That's not so bad. I still don't know why we're scripts, gen stats. I'm going to comment out this for now. So that'll just post the last streak, the one that's supposed to count. There are 608 lines in that. Consecutive daily post 607. Let's see where it starts. It's right to me. I mean, I think I'm just going to assume that I had something wrong in the original version. You know, because I have so many at this point, you just need code to count it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and count them. All right, we'll just say we fixed the bug. Okay, so that's consecutive posts. That's looking good. Let's see what else we had in the original. So we were also counting total words. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. So before, I was getting the word counts out of this site.rb, which is a wrapper around the Jekyll site. And word counts, I'm getting it out of the individual entries, which is in a class I made up. That's like sort of based on post. But words, I'm just doing content, which, if I'm not mistaken, content is just the content of the Jekyll doc. And then split, we're splitting on just nothing, and then we're mapping. Okay, so we're stripping out everything that's just not a regular character. And then we're also lowercasing it. Okay, that's not too bad. So we're not going to be able to use Jekyll, obviously, because this is just a script. But let's just try to get along, see how we do. Okay, so taking an example. So when I write an entry, the way that I tell when I'm done is I use the Emacs word count. And I highlight everything, I go down to the first line, and I hit Alt equal. And that shows me you have 1020 words. And I'm not doing anything special to like not count the HTML tags. You know, it is what it is. I think it's fair. If I upload a picture, I think they do say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So following that rule, I could just upload a picture every day and it'd be fine. But if a picture is worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words, I think that's fair. So let's see what we got. I'm just going to read the content. I'm going to strip out the front matter. And then we're going to count the words and see what we got. So we're going to do entry words. Oh, I liked using pry. I think we're going to go back to that. Entry files. So entry words is going to be entry files map do. So we first need to strip out the front matter, the top part. And I think I'm doing that. Nope, that was old code. Well, this is exciting. You get to see how I write regex. Paste that in. All right, so we need a regex expression to strip out just this front matter. I think it's going to be in single line mode. We want the dots to match the new line because we just want to remove this chunk. So I'm going to go beginning of the string. There are 3 dashes. There's a new line. There's a wildcard, dot star, and then I think we want to do a question mark, so that makes it not greedy. It makes it lazy, which means it's not just going to try to grab the whole document. And then dash, 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 and then another new line. We'll do 2 new lines. Because I almost always... Well, here, we'll do this. That's the bare minimum. And then gen stats. So we're going to go content equals file read file. That's the pattern we want. And then Ruby strip out regex. Remove pattern from string. Okay, you just do a sub. Easy. Content, so sub. Strip it out with nothing. Let's try that. Paste that in. Entry words. And didn't work. I'm still getting the front matter. Oh, maybe it's because I don't have the dot matching new lines setting turned on. I wonder how we do that. Ruby regex dot matching new lines. Oh yeah, this is a strange API. You need the /m modifier to enable multi-line mode. So it's at the end. You go /m. That syntax is strange to me. Try pasting that in. And entry words. Nice. Your journal. Okay. Let's borrow some more code from what it was doing. So it was also doing a G sub. And it was just, okay, so that's subbing anything that's not just like a regular digit or a character. Oh, and then as I ignore case. We'll make that a sub and just change it just to make it nice and simple. And then we'll return content, split. And I think we'll just paste this. This is working fine. Entry words. Okay, so in content, after it strips out the front matter, it's going to call split. And then for each token returned by split, it's going to call this G sub on it and then downcase it. And then this should return the result of that map. So that's a big function, but it's the only place we have to use it, and it gets the job done. Entry words. Look at that. Dear journal, I had such a productive day yesterday. Nothing feels as good as putting. That's pretty gratifying. And let's see how HTML is rendered. Okay. Entry words last. Not seeing any HTML tags yet. I'm looking for where I, oh, there it is. Okay. So just out of curiosity, here's what it does to the images. You can see we've got figure, href, image. So these aren't real words. So they might, if we ever do any fancier stats someday, this might sort of mess up our data. Other than that, though, that's not bad. Trying to think of ways that we can get around that. I've also got some Dutch words. Oh, and there's a blank one. We don't want blanks in there. Okay. I think I'm going to do a extract words function where I just pass in content. So this is a function you can call, you could just pass in the raw contents of the file, and then that should clean it up a little. So that's going to call content sub, content split map, words, and then we can just do words, reject, word, empty. Oh, sweet. I can just do this. I see how that happens. Because if it gets to this point, like it's a token because it's split on it, but if that token had nothing but non-regular characters, it could be left with just an empty string here. In that case, you just take it out. All right, so here, now this function has much less to do. All it has to do is just pass in file read content. Map. Extract words. Paste that there. Entry words. So now at least we shouldn't have an empty string. I wonder if I could do this. Does Ruby have a unique? It does. That's kind of cool. I can do sort on unique. Look at that. Man, now my head's spinning. You could do some really cool stuff with this. Like at one point, I thought it'd be sweet to like make a word cloud that updates every day. I couldn't get it to work because it would take too long, but I don't know. We could do something to that end, like just you know, like what's the most commonly used word, that kind of thing. Yeah, and there's your garbled up HTML. This is fun. Monday to Sunday. That's another bit of word garbling, I guess. Okay. Well, the good news is that should be working now. So I should be able to do both average and total. Because I've already done all the hard work. I've already got entry words, so easy. So we're going to go to generators. We call that total words and average words. So why don't we first do total words? Yeah, that's pretty simple. All we have to do is just call the entry words flatten size. So entry words flatten size. Ooh, that's a beefy number. And average words. This could get kind of fancy. So now we need to find the average number of words per entry. Let's see how we were doing it. Trying to decide if you could just do it in line. So entry words. Inject some element. I don't even know how this works anymore. So num list, inject some element. What does inject do? Oh, I see. So this just expects you to pass in a list of totals. Okay, that's why this won't work. Okay, I think I am going to make a function for that. So entry words, average. So we have entry words, and that's still going to inject the sum and words. So entry totals is going to be equal to that, and then we're going to return entry totals to float divided by entry word size. So let's see what this shakes out to be. Entry words, average. No conversion of integer into array. And the plus. How do I do this? There we go. All right, so we have a breakpoint. We're going to look into this function, see what's going on. Don't think that helped us. I think it's just trying to run the whole line. Oh no, here we go. All right, so sum. Yeah, that is not correct. Sum is just a list of words. So we want, and then what is words? So it looks like this is just grabbing the last entry and the previous entry. I wonder if we could do collect. That might be easier. Yeah, that's way better. I'm going to do collect. So we have a list of entry words, collect. And we have the words. And look at how simple this is going to be. I can just collect the size. And then I just want to sum all those up. And you can do that in Ruby, right? Sum. Oh, perfect. And entry totals. I think that should work. Entry words average. I don't know what's going on with that script now. Let's just try it though. Gen stats. So we get an average of 1,096. What's the current average? 1,101. Okay, so that's pretty close. We'll go with that. All right, so now, oh, I already had a price hash open. So now if we go to make serve, that should generate the stats. Ooh, it takes a while to generate the stats. Man, that's a shame. I wonder if we could speed that up a bit. Ruby gets average of array. I wonder, is that a built-in? Let's see. No, I'm doing it the right way. I could reduce it. I'm wondering if you can cache the response from this. Just doing entry words. I know that works within classes, but I wonder if you could just do it out in the open like that in a function. Let's test it out. Files map do. Puts extracting. Let's see how many times that runs. Oh, sweet. I think it only ran once. Yeah, those are all sending. So I think we fixed that. All right, cool. So you can't do that. So at least that entry words function. Okay, that's way faster. Yeah, look at that. Boom. Okay. So without that, because this entry words function is definitely the most expensive, and by caching it, at least we can ensure it only runs once. You can even time it. Okay, so without the caching, and then with the caching. Clearly faster, way faster. That's pretty sweet. I think the last thing we need to do is count the swears. So if we go make serve, I think all of our stats are filled in except for the swears, the bad words. Close some of these tabs. Oh, that's a little weird. What's going on there? Average word count. Is this pretty filter that's screwing things up? It is, okay. And then Ruby, how do you truncate a float? Okay, I could just call truncate. That works for me. Yeah, because we don't really care about like a decimal of a word. We just want to know the average running word count. Come on. Come on. There we go. 1096. Cool. All right, so this is pretty simple. We're just doing a running tally of all the bad words that I've used. And I have a standardized list of bad words in generators. Here they are. I mean, some of them are just, I don't even want to repeat them on camera. Like, can you believe that I have language like this? We'll just copy that out. And, well, why don't we make a list for them? Swear words. And I think we could do array of words. I think some of these words I haven't even said yet, but they're there, and I'll get dinged for it. Total transparency would be like showing a total breakdown, you know? That'd be fun to do at some point. When it says I need to do 2 spaces for each line. Okay. There they are. And why doesn't Rubocop like my array here? What is this saying? Oh, freeze. Okay, we'll freeze. Gotta write good Ruby. So for the swear count, we just need, and we already have the tokens kind of normalized here. They're all going to be downcase. So counting these should be super easy. And it was called just swears. Oh, interesting. It's doing swears total. Okay, so I think we're just going to change that to swear count. And gen stats. Swear count. So we have entry words. We're going to flatten that. I think this might call for reduce. Swear count. So entry words, flatten, I'm going to reduce that. So if we are calling reduce on flatten, that means in this loop we're going to get a word. No, it's dumb. Why don't we do this instead? We can do reject. And swears. We'll make that a select. Swears include word. And we just return the size. So swear count equals swear count. Let's try running that. Gen stats. I did mean swear words. $339, which matches 339. All right, so we've recreated all the stats, and that's exciting. So if we run a make clean, oh, and that just reminded me, in the make file, I have to make sure, am I really moving all the data? I am, okay. So we're all good on that front. If we do a make clean and a make serve, stats still takes a little bit, but way snappier. And now check it out. I could even run make serve again, and it skips stats. So we're already achieving something. That's super exciting. Let's go back to our to-do list. Code.org. Boost stats out of generators. Check. I guess if we want to be thorough, we can also just rip out the stats generator. Let's just do that while we're here. All right. And if we don't have the stats generator, then we don't need math. And there's probably, but we're getting close to being able to rip out this whole code base. The only thing that I need to do before removing the gems is just ripping out this front matter generator. And there's a little bit of work that needs to go into there. But it's about 1 o'clock, so I think it's all the time that we'll have. Thanks for watching. Hope you had fun. I know I did. And I got